Have you ever told someone about a big idea, and in that moment, felt as if you had already achieved part of it? Maybe you talked about starting a business, about getting in shape, about building something meaningful, about writing a book, about changing your life. People nodded, they smiled, they praised your ambition, and for a few minutes, you felt lighter, stronger, almost unstoppable. But then morning came, and somehow, your energy was gone. You looked at the work in front of you, and what felt powerful last night now felt heavy. Many people think this means they lack discipline. But sometimes, the problem is not discipline. Sometimes the problem is that they received the reward before doing the work. When we speak too much about a dream too early, we often confuse other people's reactions with real progress. This is a story about that. In a small coastal town lived a young man named Elias. He was not lazy. If anything, he had too much fire in him. Every week he had a new vision. One week he wanted to build fishing boats. The next, he wanted to forge iron tools. After that, he dreamed of opening the finest workshop on the entire shore. He had a gift for speaking. When Elias talked, people stopped what they were doing and listened. One evening near the harbor, while fishermen were repairing their nets, Elias climbed onto an overturned crate and raised his voice. "Listen to me, all of you. One day I will build a workshop so great that people will travel from distant towns to see it. I will make the strongest tables, the finest doors, the best tools this coast has ever known." Some people laughed with excitement. Some clapped. Some shouted, "That's the spirit!" Elias felt warmth spread through his chest. For a moment, he stood there like a man who had already become what he had only just described. That night, he could barely sleep. Not because he had worked hard, but because he felt important. And the next morning, he woke up strangely empty. The wood was there, the tools were there, the time was there. But the strength to begin was gone. He walked around the yard. He picked up a board, then put it down. He measured something, then stopped. By sunset, he had done less than he could have done in a single hour, and this did not happen only once. Every time a new idea came to him, he carried it first to the crowd. He received admiration, and then he deflated. At first, he thought he was simply weak. Then he thought he lacked character. And eventually, he started to believe that big dreams were not meant for him. In that same town lived an older woman named Mara, a potter whose workshop stood beyond the windmill at the edge of the village. She was not loud, but people often came to her for advice. One afternoon, Elias came too. "I do not understand what is wrong with me," he said. "When I imagine something great, I feel full of fire. When I tell people about it, I feel even stronger. But when it is time to work, everything inside me goes quiet." Mara listened carefully. She did not answer at once. Instead, she invited him inside. Her workshop smelled of clay, ash, and salt, carried in by the sea wind. She took 2 equal pieces of wet clay and placed them on the table. "Watch," she said. Mara lifted the first piece of clay high in her hands, stepped outside, and called to a group of children playing nearby. "Come here and look. I'm about to make a beautiful vessel." The children ran over at once. They laughed. They crowded around her. One child said, "Make it taller." Another said, "Add a pattern." A third reached out to touch it. Mara turned the clay in her hands and talked about how fine it would be, how smooth, how elegant, how everyone would admire it when it was finished. she talked, the wind dried one side of the clay. The sun hardened the top. Small fingers pressed into it and left marks. Soon the clay became uneven, too dry on the outside, too soft inside, full of dents. Mara brought it back in and placed it on the table. Then she picked up the second piece. This time, she said nothing. She sat at the wheel, wet her hands, covered the clay from the draft, and began to work quietly. No audience, no praise, no advice, no hands touching what was not ready, only the turning wheel and steady attention. After some time, a clean, balanced vessel stood on the table. Mara placed the ruined clay beside the finished one. "Do you see?" she asked. Elias nodded. "When the form is still weak," she said, "too much air, too much light, and too many hands can destroy it. What should have become something useful dries out before its time." Then she touched the finished vessel. This one was not shown, it was shaped. It did not need admiration while it was becoming. It only needed protection and work. Elias stood still, listening. Mara looked at him and said gently, "You are not lazy. You are spending your strength in the wrong place. You are giving people the moment that belongs to the work." She paused. "Do not bring raw plans into the square. First give them shape. Then give them time. Then let people see what your hands have done." The next day, Elias did not go to the harbor. He did not gather anyone. He made no speech. Instead, he chose one small goal. Not the greatest workshop on the coast. Not fame. Not a grand future. He decided to build one simple wooden bench for his mother so she could sit outside in the evenings. Just one bench. And for the first time, he told no one. The first days were difficult. Not inspiring, not glamorous, just real work. He measured boards and made mistakes. He cut one piece too short. He redid a joint. He sanded, adjusted, and started over more than once. Some days he felt tired. Some days he wanted to quit. But now, everything was different. He no longer had to perform the image of a future master. No one was waiting for a promise he had loudly announced. No one was watching. And because no one was watching, he felt no shame in being imperfect. He could fail quietly, he could correct quietly, he could learn quietly. The silence no longer felt empty, it felt protective. Weeks later, the bench was finished. It was not perfect, but it was strong, steady, useful, real. His mother placed it outside the house and sat on it at sunset. A neighbor passing by stopped and asked, "Who made this?" She pointed to Elias. "The same Elias who is always talking about big plans?" the neighbor asked in surprise. Elias heard that and felt a different kind of warmth in his chest. Not the fast, bright warmth of applause. Something deeper. The quiet pride of a man who had finished something with his own hands. After the bench, he built a small stool, then a table for fishing gear, then a shelf, then a door frame for a neighbor. He still had big dreams, but now his dreams no longer began with speeches. They began with work. As time passed, people in town began talking about Elias without Elias saying anything at all. Not because he made bold promises, but because his work stood inside their homes. Little by little, they stopped calling him a dreamer. They started calling him a craftsman. One evening at the same harbor where Elias had once stood on a crate and made grand announcements, a younger man approached him and said, "How did you do it? I also have many plans. I talk about them, I feel excited, and then I lose all my strength." Elias smiled, remembering Mara's workshop, the clay, the wind, and the cracked surface of the first piece. Then he answered, "Do not show what is still raw. Give it shape in silence first." If you are in a season where you have ideas but no results yet, it does not always mean there is something wrong with you. Maybe you do not lack strength. Maybe you lack silence. Do not let other people's reactions replace your effort. Praise for intention is a cheap reward. Real results are a different kind of wealth. The world does not need to know what you are building today. Let there be form first. Let there be work. Let there be quiet mistakes no one sees. And then, let what you built speak for you. Some dreams grow only when they are protected from noise. So stay quiet long enough to become solid. And remember, not every dream needs an announcement. Some dreams need a workshop. Some dreams need patience. And some dreams become real only when they are built in silence.